Greetings, YouTube. You often hear about what geniuses billionaires are, about the captains of industry that we could not live without. Of course, that has always been bullshit, and it's particularly glaringly obvious now. Look at cisgender Musk. The guy spent $44 billion to buy a social media platform, which is worth less than a third of that now. And he is currently doing everything he possibly can to drive a stake through the heart of that company, which I believe, at the moment at least, is called X, which is so stupid. Just, that's like edgy 15-year-old bullshit, and yet he's in charge of it. And remember, he hasn't invented anything. He bought Tesla and bought the rights to claim to be a founder. He isn't. He was raised into an emerald empire built upon literal slavery. He's a racist. He's a transphobe. He regularly dead names his own kid. And now he wants people to not call Twitter Twitter. He wants them to call it X. That sounds familiar to me. How about you? Someone who changes their name and wants that name change to be respected? So I think we should just keep calling it Twitter. And always remember that he's cisgender Musk. You need to hammer that home every time you get a chance to write about it. Yeah, whenever you type his name, put that word in front of it. Let him know that it's not a slur, it's a descriptor. One that applies to him. He hates it, which is why I really, really enjoy doing it. I'm not on Twitter, so I don't care. I can say what I want to. I'm not losing anything. He has no reach for me. But he has reach for a lot of people because they depend on Twitter for their personal connections or their business interests. So I suggest you go find an alternative. Apparently there's like many alternatives out there for social media connections that will help you do the same thing without having the white nationalistic transphobe moron at the head of them. The guy who very much would like to drive his company into non-existence rather than admit that he's an idiot. But the most important thing to remember is that when you have these huge structures, absolutely monumental structures, and you've got these billionaire capitalists at the top, I am often reminded of the pyramids in Egypt. At one time, they were beautiful. They were covered with alabaster, this just gleaming white stone. All right? And at the top, the capstone was sheathed in gold. Imagine what that must have looked like at dawn. A gleaming white pyramid with gold reflecting the sun. It must have been awe-inspiring. All right? Actually, I don't think it was alabaster. It might be marble. I could be wrong there. But the point is, when you have a pyramid, and we've all seen what the pyramids at Giza look like. When you have a pyramid, the stone that's easiest to replace, is the capstone. Because the capstone is the one that's doing the least work. Even if it's gold-plated, it's doing nothing. It is not supplying any kind of support to the structure at all. You remove it, and the rest of the pyramid sits right there and continues to be a pyramid. But if you'd like to take the stone off that's in the bottom, in the middle, well, you can't do that so easy now, can you? That's going to take a lot of work, and quite frankly, going to put the entire structure at risk of collapsing. Those stones at the bottom, they're the important ones. They're the ones that keep the entire structure up there. You and I are the stones at the bottom. We're labor. Our existence is key and vital to the continuation of our current system. But the capstone up there, the billionaires, the CEOs, all of them, absolutely unnecessary. Easily to replace. Push, pull, click, click, put another one in place. And no one will notice the difference. Capstones are easy to replace. The rest of the structure actually does something. Capital can't exist without labor. We are what keeps things rolling. We are what produces wealth. We are what makes sure the world keeps functioning. Labor has always had the power, which is why the capitalists have always done everything they can to undermine that power, to pit us person against person. Classism, racism, xenophobia. They'll use any tool in their toolbox they can to make sure that we don't join forces. Because they know if we do, if we all come together and we all point at them and say, you're done, there isn't a goddamn thing they can do. They don't have any power. They have our wealth, which we should take back because it's ours. We created it. We deserve to have it. We are entitled to it. But for some strange reason, we let the billionaires have it. It's time to change that. It's time to swap out some capstones, to maybe put people in charge that are going to do the right thing. And if they don't, let them never forget that capstones are really easy to remove.